You want someone that is actually best for you, that fits you. So how can you get someone that fits you if you're not being yourself? Now, I will say this: sometimes being yourself, it won't get the guy. It won't get the guy. You won't get the person. Sometimes you will not. Sometimes they won't like who you are when you're being yourself. Sometimes you two just won't mesh. But that's okay. That doesn't mean there's something wrong with you.
Excuse me, can I please talk to you for a minute?
Hey, girlfriends, and to everybody else, what up, YouTube? It's your girl Kendall D, back with another Hey Girlfriend visual podcast. So, as you can tell by the thumbnail and the title, this is gonna be about the do's and don'ts during the dating phase. And when I say dating phase, this is like the phase before you actually are in a committed relationship. So keep that in mind. So this is like when you're getting to know someone, you're trying to, this is the vetting process, and you're trying to decide if you like them or not. At least you should be deciding that. And this is actually before you move into a relationship, what you should be doing and should not be doing. Keep in mind, these are my do's and don'ts. I tried to make them, I don't want to say, I guess it's less biased as possible so that they can fit everyone. But these are personally ones that I did when I was dating for my husband. And before I met him. When I say dating for my husband, that sounds so like, oh, I'm just out there scoping for a husband. I mean, when I was actually dating him before we even became a couple and now married. But anyway, I'm sorry I didn't post last Sunday. Man, y'all, I ain't gonna lie, sometimes I don't be knowing I don't have my notes ready. I don't even know what to say. And so I don't want to just throw anything together. So sometimes I will say you may catch a break in here and there, but it is going to be definitely on Sundays, at least every other Sunday. But I'm trying to shoot for every Sunday. It's just, I don't know, I had a little blank. I drew a little blank for some content. Now, this was actually rated, this was on a poll in my IG story on I've Been That Girl Too. Definitely check it out. The stories, every Tuesday, I post this or that. Now, every Tuesday, that's if I didn't do it last Tuesday because I didn't have a podcast up. But now I'm doing one, so check it every Tuesday for a new topic. I have 2 different options and you choose. Everyone chose this one. Now that we got that out of the way, I'm sorry, I missed y'all. I was sitting here contemplating if I wanted to do this, and I'm like, and because, I didn't have really any notes, and I still don't, but I'm like, I know this shit. Come on. So, here goes. So, the first one that is a do and don't. I'm putting these together like do this, but don't do that. So, just to give you a gist of how it's going to go. First one is be yourself. Don't try to be perfect or make them like you. I'm going to be honest. This one is a tough one for some of us, especially if we are anxious lovers. We tend to have anxious attachments, but I beg to differ that it's an anxious attachment. I feel like sometimes it could be that we're either anxious about dating or meeting the one or having a husband. We're anxious about if they're going to like us or not, all those things. So what you can do if you know that you are an anxious person is try your best to fake this until you make it, so to speak. Like, practice makes perfect is what I'm trying to say. So you may feel like being yourself may be hard, especially if being yourself didn't get the guy in the past. But think about it. How can you want someone that is actually best for you, that fits you. So how can you get someone that fits you if you're not being yourself? Now, I will say this. Sometimes being yourself, it won't get the guy. It won't get the guy. You won't get the person. Sometimes you will not. Sometimes they won't like who you are when you're being yourself. Sometimes you two just won't mesh. But that's okay. That doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. I think what happens is that your mind creates this story that, okay, since they don't like me, something must be wrong with me. Something must not be right. I didn't do something right. I messed this up. But you can't mess up things with someone that's for you. If they're for you, they're going to like your authentic self. But the main thing I feel like is you have to like your own authentic self. You have to like you first. So if you feel like that you're having some gray areas with how you feel about yourself, how you like yourself, if you feel like you're not good enough, or you're nervous, or people have told you things about you, because whatever you believe about yourself, you're going to believe that everyone you come across is going to believe the same thing. And that's going to cause you to go overboard or not be yourself because you're trying to make someone like you. And I also want to suggest that, say if you're dating someone and they're like have all the things that you're wanting at the surface. Maybe they are physically attractive, have a nice car, nice job, they have high status, maybe they have all these things on paper, they look good on paper. And so now you're trying to make sure you're adequate enough to keep this guy that looks good on paper interested in you. So in that case, I can see just about anybody getting nervous at that and trying to make sure that, I like this person. This, you may feel like they're like a once in a lifetime type of person, but I want you to understand that even though they may look good on paper, it doesn't mean that they are good for you, no matter how much you want them to be good for you. Sometimes we want a particular person to be good for us. We want this particular person for whatever reason. And so we're trying to force it to be who we want it to be and the package we want it to be. And then so that may cause us to be our inauthentic selves and to step out of who we are and to be nervous around them or to try to be, someone we're just not. Like, y'all, I remember this before I met my husband now, when I was dating, and this was after my toxic relationships that y'all know about if you're here and familiar with me. But I'll never forget, it was this guy. He was okay, so the information I'm about to give, I just don't want the person that I'm talking about to ever come across this, because this person can be a little elusive, I guess that's the word, or a little private, incognito. And what I mean by that is that even when I talked to them, I didn't even date them really. Even when I talked to them, they were a little too private and too incognito or whatnot. And I don't want them to be checking out my shit and I don't know it, and meaning they come on here and see it. I don't know. So I hesitate before I say this, but I guess I have to say it in order for it to make sense so that you can grasp what I'm talking about. But anyway, so there was this guy that I met, and I met him on Tinder. He was tall. He was, I guess you could say, attractive. Usually for me, and this was me, probably a lot of women, if they're tall, they usually are kind of attractive. But they were tall, attractive, typical guy that I was kind of trying to go for. The guys basically that I could never get in high school, the tall, have a little edge to them or whatnot. He had the tattoos, and he was not a professional basketball player. He was what do you call the one that's not professional? It's right under professional. Played overseas, I guess. I don't know. You could Google them and see all their plays, history, and all that. And yeah, but anyway, So I kind of like the status and whatnot. And I did like talking to the person. I did enjoy talking to them. But I remember before going on the first day, I was telling my friends about them because we hadn't planned it. It took a while to have a first date only because of work schedules. That was a legit thing. And so I never forget telling my friends about it, and they was telling me, "Oh, girl, you gotta get all dressed up. You gotta make sure you wear some this. Wear some heels. Don't wear this, and this and that and that. Make sure you have." I mean, they were just trying to. I mean, they meant well. And when I say friends, I actually think it was only really it was a few friends in my circle. I didn't take any harm to it, but I remember afterwards. When I say afterwards, I mean like now. Looking back, I'm like, I went in not being myself. Like, heels are fine, but I wasn't really a heel person then. I'm still not really. Every now and then I'll pop some on that are not too tall, but at that time I really wasn't. I remember wearing this lipstick. I had on red lipstick actually. So when I went out to eat, I had to get a salad, something cute to eat because I don't want to mess up my makeup and embarrass myself. I was so worried about looking right that I couldn't even be myself. And looking back now, I really hate that I was like that. And I feel like I made everything more anxious. Not saying that that's what ran him off, because I think he just wasn't ready for what I was, but I made it evident without me even saying I want a relationship that that's what I wanted, because of how anxious, and I knew how I was acting. But I went in not being myself. And it's like, do you know how much friction that can cause, or how much confusion, I guess, that can cause if you start off not being yourself, and then as you get on in the relationship, suddenly you pop out someone totally different. Like, what the fuck? Like, you don't wear makeup on your first date, you made up and got on lipstick and shit. I mean, I do, but I'm saying, I'm making examples. Like, just be yourself. And the thing is, I feel like that we are afraid that being ourselves is not going to be enough. But you got to get out of your head that just because it won't be appeasing or enough for some people, it will be for the right people. Like, you have to first realize that you are enough for yourself, and then you have to keep your mind on what it is you really want. What kind of relationship you really want? What kind of bond do you really want? Do you want someone you can just be yourself around, you feel comfortable and safe with? Someone that just gets you. How can someone just get you if you're not being you? So you have to release this fear that who you are is not enough to get the person that's for you, or to get someone. Once you release that fear and realize that you'll get the right people for you, you'll do it gladly. And it may mean that you may be, quote unquote, lonely a little longer because you have these standards and you're different, you're trying to be yourself. But it's better to be, think about it, it's better to be lonely than to be with someone that you just don't feel comfortable with, that you always feel anxious with, that you always feel uptight with, because you're trying to make sure they like you, and so you can't really be yourself. Don't do that. Next, do and don't. Do remain present. Don't focus on the outcome. Ladies, this is a big one. All of them probably are, but this one really changed the tone of dating for me. Like, and I did it. I only had to do this once. Like, I did this with my now husband, but yeah. Before that, I always had my mind focused on the outcome, which I was dating with a marriage mindset, which is fine. But it's like, when you make that your main goal when going in, and you're like, I want this to be my husband, you're not even really focusing on if they are a good partner to have a relationship with that can possibly move into marriage. You're jumping too far ahead. And I get it. Sometimes it's because we're afraid of wasting time, or we're afraid that, we're going to miss out, I guess. I don't know what it is, but you cannot jump ahead. So when I mean by staying present, it means focusing on how much fun, or how much fun you're having with them, how much fun you're actually having to get to know them. Focus on that. Like, now, be in the present. Focus on if they can meet your needs. Focus on if they can meet your standards. Focus on if you like them. And not so much worried about if they like you. Focus on if you like them. Can this person be a match for me? Do I like this person as a whole? Do I like getting to know them? Do they seem fun for me? Can they meet my standards? If you set a boundary, how do they react to the boundary? Do they get a little distant or try to talk you out of your boundary? Or do they just, accept it? Do they seem to accept you for you? Do they like you for you? Do you have things in common? You get where I'm going with this. And so when you're present with this, it doesn't mean that you just suddenly stop wanting a relationship or wanting to move to be exclusive, or actually, have a committed relationship with someone. what you're doing is that you're taking it in stages. Instead of trying to jump right ahead and move into that because you may not even be really sure, trust that once you get to know someone that you can slowly begin to make that decision. So what I did, I had a timeline in my head of when I would dip out if I feel like it wasn't leading to a relationship. Because one thing that I learned to not really do is to set so many intentions in the beginning. Meaning, give them a rundown of, I want this, this, and that. I want to be married. I want kids and all that. Which is, you know what? It's fine to have the conversation, but I guess I would say lead into that conversation by first seeing if you actually, like them, talking to them. And I think what happens is that we get too attached. If we come in really liking them already, especially if you're trying to end your loneliness and singleness and you really want a husband and you're even, dare I say it, desperate. So if you're feeling all of that, if you meet someone that that you're attracted to or you kind of like already, you're going to come in already anxious. And you're going to already come in focused on the outcome. So all I'm saying is to slow it down, get to know them, have the timeline in your head. Even have a checklist in your head. That's what I had. I had a checklist of, say, if a red flag or something popped up that I was kind of peculiar about, didn't really sure about, but sometimes it maybe is not meant to really, it's not really warranted to bring up. Unless it's just something really, really big, then yes. But like, for example, I remember on my first date with my now husband, he did a sexual innuendo. And I was like, I don't like that. That's check. That's all I said to myself. But come to find out, after getting to know him more, that's just how he is. He likes wordplay. He likes jokes. And he's still that way 6 years later, y'all. That's just how he is. So he meant nothing by it. But if I would have noticed something else, because I noticed that the first time. So if I would have noticed something else that kind of, went with that. Like, okay, so he did the sexual innuendo. Now he's trying to touch me and he barely knows me. Like, so I've been on dates with guys where they're trying to like put their hand around you or arm on you and stuff. And it's like they're trying to test your boundaries. And so if I would have felt like he was trying to test my boundaries, that's when I would like, okay, yep, I'm out. Red flags everywhere. But no, it never led to that. So that's what I'm saying. When you remain present, you are able to actually notice and pay attention to all these things. Instead of you being so focused on the outcome. You're so hyper-focused on the outcome, you can miss these things, these small details, because you're just wanting them to be the one. So remain present and work your way into a relationship. And the way that I did that, my timeline. I had a timeline of 2 months, meaning I wasn't going to date someone and have fun with them for 2 months. And I take it back. Okay, 2 months, yes, is what I had. But I wasn't going to move past 2 months of dating someone and not actually being in a relationship. Meaning I knew that was something that wasn't going to have to be forced from a guy. Like, it just doesn't. If he likes dating you, getting to know you, if that's what he wants, he's going to do it. And say if that say if at that 2 month mark, I ask, where's this heading? I would like to move this into an exclusive relationship because I do like you. By that time I've decided if I like you for real or not. And so if that conversation comes up and it quote unquote runs them off, they weren't for you. And now you may be thinking, but 2 months, I maybe have gotten attached by then. Don't. The way you don't do that is don't date someone that makes you anxious. It sounds so like, what? Someone that makes you anxious, like to please, or anxious, like to not be yourself because you're anxious about pleasing them, making them like you. Don't date someone that makes you feel this anxious and anxiety within. And it could be coming from just you yourself, or it could be coming from maybe they're a little inconsistent. Maybe it could be anything. Like, say if you're just physically attracted to them, or they look good on paper and you want this person that look good on paper to like you, or maybe they're making it seem like you got to prove your worth. Whatever it is making you feel anxious, tune into that. If anyone's making you anxious, it's going to be hard to not get attached because you're already anxiously attached. And so in those 2 months, and if it doesn't end and go to anything, then you were so anxious to make it work and trying so hard to just end up with nothing. So of course that hurts the worst. So the way I did not anxiously attach during those 2 months, well, actually it was a month. He asked me to be his girlfriend after a month. Like, literally asked me. So the way I wasn't anxious is because I was dating someone. He made me feel safe. And when I say safe, I felt like I can be myself. And to be honest, if you've watched my podcast on Finding the One, How I Met My Husband, then you'll know. So net in my face, y'all. Then you'll know that I didn't like him at first, but that's how it should be. And what's so funny is that I had this conversation with him earlier. We went out earlier, and I'm a person that likes, I don't really do surface level talk, even with him, and he knows that. I like asking rhetorical questions and shit. And so I asked him what his red flags would be dating. He didn't really have any because I don't feel like thinking. You know what I mean? They are. But then I asked him, what did I ask him? Oh, I said I didn't like you at first. And he, I guess, not had a problem with it. He was like, but yeah, some. I can't remember what he said. It wasn't a problem with it. He was just made a little joke about it or something. And I said, well, hold up now. I said, you got to understand where I came from. I had a past of anxiously attaching and liking every guy before I even got to know them. Like, just off the bat, I like you. Why? And so I said, with you, I realized that it's normal to not like someone at first. Like, you don't know them. You can like things about them, or you can like qualities about them, but you don't know them. And so I think what happens is that we get so hooked on those look good on paper traits, and maybe if they're physically attractive, or if they got status, or whatever it is they got, that's something that's just make you like, wow, then you're gonna like them prematurely, so to speak, before they even have shown you what it is to like about them, before they even shown you their character, who they are. And my husband slowly made me fall for him, like, seriously. And it wasn't that I was never not attracted to him. He wasn't my typical go-to, but I would never say that I wasn't attracted to him or that I thought he was ugly. I would have dated him if I thought he was ugly. That was a no-no. But yeah, I remember it was a slow fall, and he was consistent. And so as I'm seeing this after a month, I didn't ask to be in a relationship. I wasn't even really thinking about it because I don't know, somehow I knew that the type of person he was, it would lead to that. And I didn't have to ask. I could just feel it when it's about to come up, and he asked, and there we go. We were in a relationship, and now we're married. So I'm saying, like, with the right person, you don't really have to enforce that or push that. Now, if you find yourself having to do that, they may not be ready for what you are. But even if you in the beginning set your intentions and say, I want a relationship, I want this, I want that, if they're a narcissist or a toxic person, they're going to mirror you, first of all, and say, yeah, I want the same thing, and they really don't. So that's why I say it's like, it's almost like you don't really have to say that shit up front. It's really unnecessary. Like, let them show you who they are so that you can decide for yourself. Let them show you who they are. Let them just be them, and you can decide. If they ask you what are you looking for, just say I'm looking for someone that I can genuinely have a connection with, or something like that. You don't have to tell them I'm looking for this, that. You're looking for a genuine connection that can possibly lead to a relationship one day. If it's genuine, if I feel it, and if I like the connection, let them know that you are deciding that you haven't just totally given them that outcome yet. So stay focused in the present, not on the outcome, because focusing on the outcome is going to make you just more anxious and anxiously attached to someone that it's probably not even right for you. But you're so focused on this outcome. Like, if you are anxious to end loneliness and not be single and to have someone, you are already coming in anxiously attached. You're already coming in focused on the outcome, because you're like, I just got to get to this outcome. So I just got to be together with someone, in a relationship with someone, fuck all this other stuff. And another thing I want to add to that is that you want to find someone. I guess this would be my next one. Do find someone that's better than your aloneness. Don't be with someone just to end your loneliness. So that goes actually right into my next point. So the only way that you can find someone that's better than your aloneness is if you like your aloneness. Is if you're okay with being alone. And if I'm not going to get too far into it, but if you check out my episode on loneliness and how to deal with it, I explain more in there about the difference between those two, loneliness and aloneness. So being alone, some people may be afraid of it because they may feel like that deems them to be alone forever. But it doesn't have to be the case. Or you may be too anxious to enjoy your alone time. You may have these thoughts about what it means. You may feel miserable, all of that. What you have to do is try to make peace with it. Because think about it. If you are so anxious to get rid of your loneliness and you're trying to move into a relationship to end that, anyone that comes into your life, they're not going to have anything to go up against. They're just going to, as long as they probably look good on paper, this and that, here we go. Okay, you can take away my loneliness. You're good enough. So you're not comparing it to this great alone time you have over here and how happy you are with your life. You don't have anything to compare it to. So therefore, you're going to accept whatever they bring. If as long as it looks like it's kind of okay and they can take you from your loneliness. So if you become one with your aloneness, not saying that as soon as you do, automatically you're going to meet someone. I'm saying that this dating process, it can be a little difficult, especially if you have high standards and you have boundaries and all of that. You may be alone for a minute because you're trying to find someone that can actually meet those standards and meet those boundaries. And it's okay. So you have to understand that if you are okay with your aloneness, you're not picking anyone out of loneliness because you just want someone. You're picking someone because you actually like them, because you actually want them in your life, not because you need them, so to speak. So date someone that will move into being in a relationship with someone that's actually better than your alone time. That's the key important. So if you have not gotten one with your alone time, check out my podcast about that. And I would say make peace with it. Do what you need to do some healing, whatever you need to do. And even find some new hobbies, y'all. Do what you love to do. Go out with some girlfriends, read, pick up a new hobby, go back to school, paint, draw, do music, do TikToks, become a content creator, build you a brand, anything. You can be doing anything with your alone time. I was trying out new restaurants in town, learning choreography to Beyonce's Formation. I never forget it. That was my thing. I came home, that was my workout, exercising, eating healthy. I would have like friends I would talk to, like guy friends that wasn't really anything, just, a little something of your own, but not someone that's actually you trying to fill the space. Like friends that you have, anything. Get to enjoy your life as a single person, because I'm going to tell you something. Once you get in a relationship, it's totally different because it's not only about you anymore. It's about that person. And I also would say that being in a relationship and being married, I'm noticing that I have alone time. I wouldn't say a lot of it, but I have some. And I make the best of it because it's like my husband works. I'm at home usually, and I do my creative influencer work or whatnot. And so I'm glad I'm okay with being alone because I'm alone sometimes. And I can't be anxiously waiting on him or up under him all the time. I have my own thing I have to do. I have my own life. So use your free single time to do that. And then once you meet someone, yes, it may be harder to find someone that's better than your alone time, but isn't that what you want? Isn't that a good thing? That means you have better standards and have someone better come into your life that better fits what you want and your need, and the connection will be that much better and that much healthier. Trust me on this. You want someone that's better than your alone time, not someone to take you from your loneliness, girlfriends. The next one is do accept casual dates, but don't do house dates. This is if y'all are just quote unquote talking or it's the beginning stages. Like, I don't feel like the first or second date should be at anyone's house. Not even really the third one. Now, I can say if it's like, maybe leading to a relationship and it's on down and you're getting used to them, maybe a house date. But a casual date is fine. Like, say, because I know times are hard right now. Or people do casual dates. Now, this is up to you. Some people women don't like casual dates. They want to go all in on the first date. That's fine. Do you? But I'm saying, if you want to go to a coffee date, or you want to go to a movie, walk in the park, or if you want to, any little thing like that, that is fine if that's okay with you. But there are other, say if they say, well, you know what, times are hard, this and that, or they say anything like that, or you be like, I don't want to date a man like that anyway, then that's not for you. But it's okay to accept a casual date if that's what you want. Like, I don't like to tell women what their standards should be or what's low or high standard for them, because this is your dating experience. So if you are okay with casual dates, then do that. And that's your standard. If it's not a requirement that you go to an exclusive date, get dressed up fancy, and he pay a lot for you, whatnot, okay, great. But y'all, something about the house dates to me is just a little too intimate. Especially if you're not trying to go there with them yet. You could be tempted to do so if you're trying to refrain from having sex too soon. And it's something about a house date. It's not enough effort. Okay, yes, it's fine that if someone wants to cook for you and all of that, but I feel that should be waited. You should wait for that until you're actually moving into a committed relationship. Like, in the beginning, house dates, no. You don't know this person that well anyway. It's like inviting a stranger to your house. And set that boundary. Like, say if they even ask, set that boundary. Which moves into my next one. Do set boundaries. Don't be afraid to do so. Like, meaning, it goes kind of with what I said at first, which was the be yourself and whatnot. Being yourself also includes the thing. Okay, being yourself does actually include remaining true to your boundaries. Even if they seem a little, I don't want to say extra because it's not, but even they seem like you may be nervous to set the boundary, or maybe you're not used to it. Like, if you don't feel comfortable with something, speak up on it and say, I'd rather not. And the reason why I say this is because how they respond afterwards is going to tell you what kind of person they are and if you should continue to date them. Like, if you set a boundary, but they give you any type of pushback, or even if it's subtle, it can be like, oh, come on, I can come to your house. It's just that and that. Or, they push back even in the quote unquote nice way, where they're not being just forward and pushy and mean about it. Anything but straight up acceptance of what you want, they don't respect you. They are out more likely for themselves and to get what they want. So that's one reason, actually the top reason, why you should set boundaries. It may run them off, but do you want someone that's going to disrespect you? Do you want someone that's not going to respect your boundaries and respect your needs? Because if they can't respect your boundaries, they can't respect your needs, and they're not going to provide what you need. It's just going to be a whole domino effect. So even if you're shaken and a little bit nervous about setting a boundary, do it. Like, for example, I remember when I was dating my now husband, on the third date, we were meeting up at friends. I feel like I told the story before. Maybe I put it on an Instagram post. I don't remember, but I'm going to say it again anyway, because you may be hearing it for the first time. But anyway, I remember it was like the third day. We were going to some friend's house for a little party they were having. And I was at home and he was on the way there because he was doing a podcast. That's what he was doing, like a gaming podcast. He was going to do that first and the party's going to be after. Or no, wait, I don't think that was it. Anyway, that's not even important. But anyway, and so he was like, hey, my friend can drop me off at your house and we can go together if that's okay. Or if you want, or something like that, he said. I got nervous as shit before I answered him because I'm thinking like, oh my God, he's trying to get to my house. He's trying to get some, this and that and that. And, you know, I started thinking all this other shit. I was getting so anxious. Like, oh no, this ain't gonna work. Nope. I was like, oh my gosh, no. Then I said, Kendall, calm the fuck down. Wait a minute. Just set a boundary. Just say you're not comfortable with it. How hard can that be? And I did. And so I was like, hey, I'm not comfortable with that. I can meet you there. And y'all, that was that. And I'm telling, this is how you slowly realize when you like someone. And so when you start kind of like being yourself, opening up, setting boundaries, and you're seeing and meeting your standards, it's like that slow build. And it's like the best. Like some of y'all really be like, I'm afraid of boring, or I'm afraid of this and that. But once you start to realize that someone is accepting of you and really respects you and really fucks with you, it's like it is a different type of attraction. I can't describe it. Not saying to go date an ugly guy or someone that you think is not that attractive because you're trying it. I'm saying give someone a shot as long as you're saying, okay, they're cool. Give them a shot anyway. But back to my story. And so with the boundary setting, he was just straight up like, okay, I'll see you there. No pushback, no nothing. When I got to the party, he wasn't acting weird with me. He wasn't, it was none of that. And in my head, I'm thinking like, okay. And that's how consistency builds and builds and the attraction builds. And it's just like perfect. And it ends up, it's just try it, y'all. Don't be afraid to be yourself. Because it may run off some folks, but once you realize that you can be yourself and be respected and be comfortable setting your boundaries and be in your element and all of that and just be you and just breathe. Once you realize that you can just breathe and you don't have to be so anxious and you're not anxious to please, you're not anxious to make it work, you're just there and enjoying it. It is like a different type of attraction. It just is. Try it. So that was my other do's and don'ts. Another one I would say, do show interest, but don't chase. And you may be thinking before the word, when you hear the word chase, I don't chase. I don't be going after them. But you can chase in a different way that doesn't actually entail you chasing. You can actually be either kind of waiting on the call, instead of, you know, and you see they're inconsistent, but you're still hanging around waiting for the consistency to pop back up and come back in. That's chasing still. So it's okay to show interest. Like, say if you're interested in someone and, you know, you text them like, hey, you know, what's up? Or, hey, you seen this latest movie? Or you're just texting throughout the day, you know, friendly talk or whatever. It's okay to show interest. You're not going to run somebody off, and it's okay to text. Be the first to text, be the first to call. I think what's happened is that a lot of women have gotten so used to dating people that don't actually like them. Dating men that don't actually like them like that, or want what they want, or want the same type of closeness and have the emotional ability that you want. And so therefore you're thinking, I can't show too much interest. I got to kind of be cool and just let him come to me and do that. It's okay to show a little interest. Because you can run them off, or somebody that actually is interested in you, you can run them off with your aloofness or quote unquote aloofness, because you're trying to act like you're not that interested. So it's okay to show interest, but match the energy. Meaning don't show more interest than they are because you're trying to get theirs. You get what I'm saying? So if you just show interest and you feel like it's going back and forth, you're both here, no one's doing more than the other, okay, great. But if you start noticing some inconsistency, because I don't understand for the life of me why men do this shit. Why they'll act like they're all hot and heavy for you and shit. Like, of course, it may be love bombing, but it doesn't even be that. It'd be like they act like they really like you. Then they go on a date, and now it's just tapered off like they barely like you. And it's like, whatever. And I'm like, what is that? And it don't even be that they're trying to get you to chase them. I don't even feel like it be that. It's a different type of thing. It's not like they hitting you up to try to see you or have sex with you. It's just like they'll text you at the blue like, hey, how's it going? I'm like, I ain't talked to you in a couple of days. What do you mean, how's it going? And even though we have been on a date and you act like you liked me so much before. it can be like days have gone by, and it's just like they pop up out of nowhere. But in the beginning, it was like talking every day. Like, what's that? So I'm saying, if that happens, what you can do, some people say, oh, just leave, just leave. You can. But match the energy. Don't put forth more interest. Date somebody else and keep it moving. You can either just say, you know, this is not going to work for me and move it right along, or you can let it fizzle on out. Whatever you do. Because I know some people may not be able to just break it off. Match the energy at least. Do not do more. Do not show more interest. Just show your interest and see how it goes back and forth between you two. Go off that. My next thing. Do I have a next thing? Oh, and one more thing I wanted to add to that is a trick that can work is when someone becomes inconsistent. Practice being turned off by it. Don't go into your, oh, I wonder if I did something wrong. Oh, maybe I'm not good enough. Or even if you do. Like, for me, that happened to me. It was a guy that acted like he was hot and heavy for me and liked me and really like talking to me, wanted to date. The next thing you know, it just kind of fizzled slowly out. And I had to tell him, you know, once I ended up meeting my now husband, I told him, hey, I met someone we can't talk anymore. But it was like, in the beginning, it was like hot and heavy as shit. Like, you like me a lot. I wouldn't say it moved fast, but it was just like, yeah, we was connecting. And then it just wasn't. And so what I did once it just wasn't is that I did kind of think to myself, you know, maybe I'm a little too fat. Or maybe this and that, I'm fatter than what he thought because I met on Tinder. That kind of did cross my mind, but it did get me to the point to where I'm sulking and thinking I'm not good enough. Because I'm like, I don't want someone like that. I don't want someone that is inconsistent. I don't want someone that acts like they like me one day, they act like they don't. And I just told myself that's a turn off. Like, you're not all that to be doing that. And I'm not doing it anymore. So I kept dating and met my husband. So, next thing. Do have standards. Don't have standards that are compared to an ex. I tried to word it the best I can. But what you want is you don't want to keep on dating someone, comparing them to an ex. That is going to lead you to someone that is just at least what you want. Like, say if an ex maybe, you know, didn't call so much. And the new one, he kind of does. And you're like, well, at least he calls me. That's still not enough. That's just at least. So date for the man that you actually want. The person that you actually want. Date for that. Make that a whole new list of standards. Not standards and things compared to an ex. Because you're trying to move away from that. You want someone totally different that can't even be compared to the ex. And I think a lot of us tend to do that. And we go into the new relationships or new potential relationships, I should say, looking at them to see, you know, can they compare to my ex? How are they? This and that. And, oh, at least they're this and this and that. No, ma'am. No. You don't want the at least. You want at most. Keep that in mind. So what you can do is as you date, keep a checklist of the new standards that may arise. Like maybe you dated someone you're like, I didn't really like that about them, or I like this, so that's my next standard, even if it didn't work out with that person. Keep and update it regularly about what it is you want, what's important to you. And once you have that list, that's what you're going in dating with. And you're not even thinking about the ex or thinking I want someone just like that did this, that, and that, and that. No. Believe that you can have someone totally better than that. So date against what you actually want, not against how your ex was, or you're trying to look for the at least he's not like my ex, at least he's this, at least no, at least. All right, so I think this is gonna be my last one. Now, this one is something I kind of got from a Abraham Hicks video that I watched the other day. That it's funny because I did this unknowingly, what she suggested on what to do for 2 weeks to meet a lover. So my do and don't for this is do focus on the things you do like about a person, and don't focus on what you don't like when you're dating someone. And this can be kind of hard, but let me explain the logic that she used. And then I'm going to give my example that's how I did, and I ended up with my now husband. I didn't even realize that's what I was doing, which was kind of crazy. But I'm going to explain this the best way I can. I watched this video once, and it's a lot of information fast. If you know her videos, she kind of does that. But she said basically what you're going to do is focus on what you do like. Because if you focus on what you don't like, you're just going to bring more and more of that into your life. Meaning the universe is recognizing that, okay, that's what you're so focused on, that you're going to keep seeing and getting. So if you meet someone, what you do is you focus on what you do like about them. It may be about, she said, like 15% that you don't like. Like, it can be maybe they don't have a beard and you like beards, or vice versa. It could be they may not be tall enough. You know, small things. I'm not saying red flag shit. I'm saying small things that really don't matter. He may be not dressed exactly how you want. May not have the car you want. Things like that. That's like a little small percentage of what you don't want. But focus, if you've made the standard list, focus on what you do like about them. Focus on all the great qualities they have, and just tune in on that. This doesn't mean this has to be the one or whatnot, but for one, you never know. But it doesn't mean it has to lead to that. But what it will do is that once you focus on that and you realize, okay, maybe it don't work for one other reason, then what happens is that you'll meet someone the next time that puts you a little closer to what you do want, because you're focusing only on what you do want. And so it's making that little 10% seem very, very minute and small, because you're realizing that focusing on all these do's is making me happier. And when you're in a happier mood, and when you're feeling better and good about dating, it's going to attract what you want. Because think about it. If you seen a guy sitting up to the side all sad and mad at the world, act like he hates love, don't want love, and calling women bitches because he think every woman cheats, and just mad at the world about dating and love, you don't want that. You don't want someone that has that type of spirit and aura about love and dating. So if you have this spirit about, oh, I can't find what I want, oh, this shit is hard, oh, fuck love, whatever it is you may have in your head, that's all you're going to see. That's going to become your perspective. And that's what you're going to attract. And then you're going to be stuck in the loop of like, this shit ain't working. Why not try to focus in on the big bulk of what it is you do like? Because I'm going to tell you now, you're not going to get 100% of everything you want. Meaning that you may want the tallest guy, the guy with the best status, best car, best job, best house, no kids, all of that. You may want all of these things. But is that really a part of his character? Does that really matter how you're going to be treated? So focus on the things, the character of that person, and focus on if they can meet the standards and the quality of life that you want to have. What a quality of relationship you want to have, I mean. And so once you focus in on that, the other things seem so small. And then what you're doing is, say if you don't like it or you don't like them, Abraham Hicks stated that, okay, so maybe if you reject them, you say it's not going to work out, at least you're sending them back off into the world feeling good about themselves, because you focus in on all the good things about them and not that little small things that you didn't like. You focus on what you did like. And so they go out into the world and they're feeling good, like, okay, I got all these great things. Then they'll find someone to match them. And then you may move closer to someone that matches you. And so how this relates back to me and how it worked for me, I told you that when I met my now husband, I wasn't that attracted to him because he didn't meet certain physical qualities like the height. I didn't like how he really dressed. But I remember I had already prayed to God that what was really, really important. I said the things that were really, really important to me in a relationship. And that's what I was praying on and meditating on. And so once I surrendered and just did that, it's like that's when he came into my life. And it's like if I had not prayed for that and got my mindset ready for that, I wouldn't have this now. I wouldn't have him now. I wouldn't be as happy as I am now. Like, this is the happiest and healthiest I've been in. And yeah, even my quirks he likes, I like his quirks, all of that, because I focus it on the good, on what he did have. And he dresses better now. I mean, his beard is flourishing. He looks good. All of that. So it's like, that shit really didn't matter. It wasn't going to make a happy relationship. And I'm attracted to him now because of everything. It's the whole package. And if you're just going with someone that just looks good, but later on you find out they're not treating you good, how attractive is that going to be anymore? Not really. So that's why I learned. So when doing that, and also if you listen to my Finding the One podcast, he did not have a car or his own place yet. Keep in mind, we were young. And I'm not saying that you have to go out for that, especially if you're near your 40s or your late 30s. I'm not saying this has to be you. But I'm saying for me, I gave it a shot only because I started noticing other things I liked about him that were more important. And we had a discussion about this actually today over dinner. And I was like, you know what, you sure were full of yourself. You super liked me, knowing that you was going to go Dutch on a date, knowing you didn't have a car or your own place. And he said, 'cause I knew I was going to get it. And I was just like, ain't that something? But I loved it though. And I was like, he's right. I said, you know what, you're right. Because that's what made me actually keep going with him, because I realized, okay, he's not a user. A lot of women think, I don't want a man that don't have a car and a job and all this because, well, he had a job. I don't want a man that don't have a car and his own place because then I got to take care of him. No, the fuck you don't. No, you don't. And he never asked it for me. He never even pressured it and made it seem like that's what I was there for. He never asked me for a dime, never asked me for a ride, never asked to borrow my car, never asked me to take him nowhere, pick him up, do anything. Never borrowed his parents' car. He never did any of that shit. He got it himself. And that's what really drew me to him. I was like, okay, I'm looking at the character of this person. And in my head, I knew he ain't gonna be like this forever. And he got a car like a few months later. Now he makes the most money, supports me in doing this. So it's like, just use that to your advantage, y'all. I promise you. It's a little scary because it's like that 50% may seem extra exciting, or that you really need it because you want that oomph to your relationship or whatnot. Or you want that, that's the package you're looking at. But if you look at the 85% and you really think about how you want to be treated, what you really want, that's what's most important. That's what's going to bring the happiness. That's what's going to bring the healthiness. All of those good things that you want. And so once you surrender to having it in a certain package like you like, and you focus in on what you do like about each person you date, it's going to put you that much closer to someone that is for you. I guarantee it. Try it. And if I can find the Abraham Hicks link, I'll drop it below, even if I remember. If I don't remember and y'all don't see it, comment and say, girl, you forgot to put the link. But when I edit this, I'm going to try to remember to put the link in the comments, because it's a very, 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 very good. And that's exactly what I did, not even realizing that's what I did. That happens a lot for me. I'll intuitively know to do something, think to do something, and because it feels right. And then later on, I see like some person or anyone like talking about it, or therapist even, or someone like that has a big platform already and is known for, like Abraham Hicks is known for her good advice and her good speaking points and all that. I've always liked a lot of her things because I hear it on TikTok, but I never put the name to who was saying all these things. But anyway, so yeah, I did that, what she said, and it worked wonders. It really did. But you have to be prepared for that. So I think that's all I got. As y'all know, I do one-on-one coaching, one-on-one mindset and intuitive coaching calls, all that. It's on my Patreon. All that stuff is in the description below. And I also have 3 books out. I have a book about my actual journey when I was in a narcissistic, toxic relationship. And it's like a memoir, but it reads like a novel. And I don't mean to brag, but it is really good. And I've been told it's really good. Haven't got a bad review yet. 5 stars on Amazon. It's one of my, I guess, biggest selling books. And I got like 2 more parts to go with it. And I will write it, I promise. And I got like some quote books and a journal. And I do plan on writing more. So subscribe to my newsletter. All that's on my adminthatgirl.net website. That's down below. See me on TikTok. That's down below in the description. All of that. And also, oh yeah, on my Patreon, I will probably have a bonus episode because I do this a lot. I'll work on notes for like a week, a couple of days, know what I'm going to say it all. Then someone hit me like, oh, I should have said that. It's on my Patreon. And I actually have like hundreds of other episodes and a whole lot of other things. I'm thinking about taking one of my most favorite podcasts from Patreon on there and putting it on here. It won't be visual. It'll just be a recording with like some pictures. I'm thinking about doing it because it was really, really good. It was about self-acceptance is self-love and how those two go together and how to learn to accept yourself, to love yourself. I really enjoyed doing it. I loved it. Yeah, I think I'm about putting it on there. But my light is going out. Not my light, but I was using the sunlight. And it's getting dark. I gotta say peace out. This is a long enough podcast. I hope y'all got some good takeaways from here. I try my best. Sorry about the break, but I do that because it gives me time to get my thoughts and notes together and what I want to say and do. But that's all I got for this week's podcast episode, girlfriends, and everybody else on YouTube. So peace out for now.